For Idaho State cross-country head coach Nate Houle, becoming a runner was inevitable.
Running has always been kind of a family thing with me. My parents both ran in college, and so it was kind of inherited in a way. And what ended up happening was my older sister, actually, she got invited by a friend to join what was called the Orem Track Club down in Utah. And she was like, "Hey, Nate, come do it with us." I'm like, "All right."
Houle was hooked. He was 7 at the time.
And since from then on, it was just, we were going to national level meets the year after type thing. So it ramped up really fast from that point on, but I don't know, I feel like I've been doing it my whole life.
After high school, Houle headed to Cedar City, Utah to run for his uncle Eric Houle at Southern Utah. He battled injury throughout his career, which often sidelined him for weeks, sometimes months at a time. But his injury-plagued career helped cultivate another passion, coaching.
As an athlete, I was hurt a lot in college. I was injured quite a bit. I'd spent a lot of time on the sidelines already, being hurt so much, that it was really natural for me to be there again, and the transition was really seamless.
And so began his journey into college coaching. Starting at Georgia State as a volunteer assistant during graduate school, Houle eventually made his way back to Southern Utah as a full-time assistant. The T-Birds hadn't made nationals since 1999, but within a year of his arrival, they were ranked number 27th nationally and have advanced to nationals nearly every year since. However, a new era began at Southern Utah with the hiring of a new university president, and in July of 2014, after a year with the program, Houle's contract was not renewed.
Yeah, I applied for, if I had my spreadsheet in front of me, I applied for 50 coaching jobs, and I want to stick Division I, all this stuff, and so there's really not that many options. So every job that came open, we were willing to move anywhere. If that was Thailand, I would go there, type thing.
Despite his efforts, Houle's applications garnered 0 responses. With a young family to provide for, Houle accepted an internship with a software company in Salt Lake in late August of 2014. By September, the Houles had relocated to Utah County, and things looked to be getting back on track. It was then that he started to notice a few odd things with his sinuses.
Mid-October, I think, is when I'm like, man, I've had these issues, and my eye was doing some weird stuff, my teeth were hurting, and I had all these weird symptoms. My nose had been bleeding for weeks, and I'm like, this is odd.
Initially thought to be a sinus infection, Houle completed a round of antibiotics. When the symptoms persisted, he had a CT scan just to be safe. It turned out Houle's symptoms were the result of a large mass growing inside his sinus cavity. He underwent a small surgery to biopsy the mass, and the following Monday, the doctor asked for the Houles to meet with him in person.
At that moment, you start realizing maybe all the stuff that had happened before was I guess for a reason.
Hours later, the Houles received the news: Stage 3 maxillary sinus squamous cell carcinoma, and it was going to be rough.
As the doctor talked to us, I just had silent tears coming down the whole time.
In the next few weeks, the Houles learned more about Nate's form of cancer and found that it would most likely cost him his left eye.
All those signs obviously then made a lot of sense, but what that meant was the tumor was encroaching on a lot of things it shouldn't be touching, and so the concern was really about whether or not my eye was gone or whether they'd be able to save that.
A few days before Thanksgiving in 2014, Houle underwent a marathon 18-hour surgery.
The day of the surgery was one of the worst and longest days of my life. I dropped him off at 6 a.m. and didn't get to see him again until midnight.
Following surgery, Houle had multiple tubes and wires hooked to his body with heavy bandaging over the left side of his face. Given his bandaging, Houle was still unsure if his eye was still there.
Finally, I'm like, do I have, is it 1 or 2 eyes? I'm like, what's the, because I had a patch on it, right? Because they had just chopped the whole thing up, and they're like, you got 2, man? I was like, are you kidding me?
Doctors used parts of Houle's fibula to reconstruct his cheekbone and sinus cavity, and took tissue from his leg to reconstruct the inside of his mouth. His face was swollen for 2 to 3 weeks post-op, and he utilized a walker until his leg healed.
So the surgery and the following weeks were really, really hard. It was way worse than we were expecting. And Nate is usually such a happy, laid-back guy, and he was so grumpy. But I tried my best. I mean, he was feeling enough bad emotions for us, so I tried my best to be happy and positive.
And so began Houle's recovery. Starting in January 2015, he began radiation treatment.
I spent two months. I'd go in 5 days a week, drive up to Salt Lake. We lived in Utah County, so it was a good 45-minute drive each way. And go in, hang out with a bunch of just like lifeless 90-year-old guys, and I'm just like, man, how did I get here? And go down, lay down, they zap you for a while, and it just, the taste, it would just cause this like metallic taste, and it would just get worse and worse every time it went up.
After several months of treatment, he was told he was in remission.
So I was way more excited than he was. I was like, I woke up that morning and I felt like I could like do anything. I was just so excited. Not only because of what it meant, but I don't know, it was just so exciting to me that we had made it. We had crossed the finish line.
Throughout Nate's recovery, Casey continued to find solace in running, and it ended up benefiting the both of them.
Kind of as a stress reliever, I had started training hard to run because I needed to work towards something personally to kind of have my own thing. And I ran with Nate's sister. They lived really close by us, and Nate actually, it helped him too because he coached us, and he spent all of his time researching different coaching strategies and different methods, and we were kind of his guinea pigs.
Casey's training also made one thing clear to Nate: coaching is where he belonged.
When everything falls into place like that, you kind of become like pretty sure of where you're headed. And so when it all comes down, you're like, what in the world just happened, right? What is this? This was not according to the plan that I had. And once this cancer thing showed up and it kind of all made sense, I jumped back on the whole, like, hey, yeah, coaching is what I do.
Houle was offered a full-time position with the software company he interned with prior to his cancer diagnosis, but he decided to turn it down to pursue his passion in coaching.
Knowing my success rate, the previous round of applications was 0.0, and going into it again with a family and a kid, I'm like, dude, I got to make some money at some point, right?
Houle applied to numerous Division I head coaching positions, including Idaho State, and before he knew it, he was officially a head coach.
It just like fell into my lap in a way, and I came up, spoke with Jeff Tingy, and apparently I didn't offend him too badly, so he gave me the job, and next thing I knew, we were in Pocatello and back on the grind, doing the coaching thing.
Houle is in his second year with ISU, and he's working hard to bring the same national success he cultivated at Southern Utah to Pocatello.
I feel like I approach work every day with this new, just happiness. I'm just grateful to be doing stuff that I love to do, and being able to do it as a healthy person and having a future actually available is nice. And it's kind of where we're at now, just moving forward and trying to make this place, I guess, not just be here and be happy. I want to do stuff. I want to be the best. I want to make Idaho State cross country the best thing I can. And I'm working my butt off to make that happen. And so, I guess being alive is not good enough. I want to make the best of it.
Houle will continue to return to Salt Lake every 6 months for the next few years for routine CT scans and checkups to ensure the cancer has not returned. In the meantime, he's living out his dream as a head cross-country coach and working in the sport that's given him so much strength, guidance, and purpose: running.